Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, and loving life. Please want to remind everybody, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There is a PayPal link down there for anybody that wants to share some love. And we're not going to do a StreamYard link. I'm just going to do a short video on the Newbie Tuesday Zoom meetings from Lawful Living. They still go on, been going on for quite some time now, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I will put the link down here in chat. Just go to Zoom and punch in the number code 8382174471 for Newbie Tuesdays, Zoom. And then it'll ask you for a link number or a room number. 8382174471. Newbie Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we give out all kinds of information. We go over information that will help put a foundation. Hopefully, we can explain it to you, but we can't understand it for you. But hopefully it will put a foundation under you that you will be able to move forth with in various different venues by learning how to discern what is what, by staying out of the fear mode and staying in a logic mode and actually reading and comprehending what is put before you. So let's take a look at something real quick. As it goes to the Newbie Tuesday study guide, and it says, who is bringing the charge or the claim? The first thing is identification of parties. First of all, they're going to say that they're identifying themselves, but they don't. They identify a fiction in all cases. The plaintiff and defendants in these cases are fictional entities known as legal entities or commercial entities, and they do not bring charges against the living soul except but in common law for real crimes. What is the charge? Is it under an administrative code where you're supposed to be an employee of the state or the federal government pursuant to an identification program? All kinds of things. Things like why is one's capacity to sue or be sued so important? See, technically, you are not supposed to be in those administrative courts unless you are a federal, state, or municipal officer or agent whose resident presence is deemed necessary by the board. Where were you acting as a statutorily defined person that the entity regulates? In other words, were you operating under the administration if the administrative courts bring you to court in a state venue? Were you working for the state, federal, city, county, anything in an official capacity, performing the functions of public office? If not, you're not that person. You're never that person. But if you have that official capacity, then there's a person that is assigned in paperwork to carry, in other words, hold, record, where that record is kept, because man's mind isn't quite so solid and doesn't always remember. So we write things down so we can look at them later. That's all it is. If you made a mistake in the beginning and professed something that was wrong and it's held against you later on, you can go back and correct that for your own mistake. It's called mutual mistakes. You're making mistakes on both sides of the counter. Were you doing the activity that the entity regulates? This is why we have this issue with travel versus driving. And I'm going to say transit versus driving. Everybody wants to profess their right to travel when the freedom of transit is the guarantee. Freedom of transit, transitioning from point A to point B. What is the entity allowed to do? What are its duties and authorities? Such as Article 1, Section 8, wherein they distinctly tell us that Congress shall make rules for the government and the regulation of land and naval forces. If you're not part of that, guess what they don't make rules for? You. And if they can only make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, and you ain't that, then what are their duties and authorities towards you if they don't include you as an officer or agent? They are working in a public trust. Public service is a public trust, and they have the ultimate duty of those ethics to make sure that they are doing their job correctly, and I shouldn't need to correct them for them. So again, we're talking about mutual mistakes. Is the claim related to an alleged contract? That's why we talk about trust law and contract law. In order for it to be in that administrative courts, there has to be a contract in play already. Must. They're doing it to acquisition property. Federal Acquisition Regulations 52.212-5. In other words, it's 48 CFR 52.212-5. Contract terms and conditions required to implement statutes, executive orders, commercial items or services. What is the duty of the public servants acting on behalf of the entity? See, they have a public service is a public trust. That's their duty. They have to operate in trust. They have to know their position in that trust, whether they be principal or agent. And that the one that they're working with on the other side of the counter is in fact the benefactor. If they don't know that, then they've been making mistakes. If you don't know that, you've been making mistakes. That's the mutual mistakes. Quit accusing everybody of doing things wrong. You're doing them wrong too. What is equity? The entrance to equity is mutual mistake. Period. You're either in a court of law where there's a controversy and people are pointing fingers at each other, blaming each other, instead of accepting the mutual mistakes and coming to a resolution. What is notice? Notice is the first step. The first duty in law, as far as your duties, the first duty in law is legal notice. They operate at law, and you are supposed to be in law. The law is made for the lawless. That's why they call them outlaws. And that's it. Why is giving notice important? Study the concept of good faith. See, anytime you enter into a contract, you're supposed to be entering into it in good faith. If you want equity, you must first come with clean hands. This means you have to know the equity, you have to know the contracts, you have to know what you're getting into, and if you don't, and you see things that you don't recognize, you better study on them. And if you see things that you recognize, you should still study them, because you may not be recognizing them for the grammar that they imply, or the concepts that they imply through the grammar. And so again, folks, Newbie Tuesdays, free informational study groups where we all study together. Today, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Newbie Tuesday. Hit that number into the Zoom links and join us. Today, Tuesday, supposedly the 7th of January of the year of our Lord, 2025, we have a success story. Come join us. See how he says and how he explains his experience as a lion in the house of Judah, who sat in that lion's den for about a year, telling him, no, you're not my daddy. I'm unlicensed and I don't give a fuck. All kinds of shit they don't like and they're not used to hearing. But he stood on his word. That's what it takes. So please join us 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesdays. Go to Zoom and hit 83821744471 to enter. It's free. See you at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You guys know me. I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. Let's say I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you and have a good day. Bye now.